guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I'm so excited that you guys get to watch my videos and I get to share my videos with you guys. I'm so lucky. I feel so grateful to be in this world right now. In this video, I wanted to speak to you guys about fake spirituality and how I've been noticing that I really am despising people who deem themselves spiritual but don't actually, use their spirituality in the real world. So I'll just start off with a story like I always do. So I was walking through the resort that I, work at, and I was walking to one of the other beaches just because I wanted to check something out. And I saw that this girl fell. While I was walking, I was looking around, and this girl fell. Not anyone I know, just a guest, I believe, or just someone who was passing through. She fell on the beach, and she was carrying a big backpack, and I think she was just leaving. So perhaps she tripped on the sand, whatever it was. She fell on the sand, and she perhaps scraped her hand because she got up and started looking at her hand. And I thought to myself, oh no, she's hurt herself. And so, obviously my first instinct is, oh my God, I have to go look and make sure that she's fine because she's a human being and I'm a human being, and isn't that what people do when someone is hurt? So I walked up to her and, I said, I hope you're all right. Is everything all right? Did you hurt yourself? I looked at her hand, and it was fine. There's a little bit of a few scratches on it, but she's like, I'm fine. Thank you so much. And she looked at me in my eyes and she said, thank you for asking about me. Thank you for caring. And it's funny to me when she said that, because I thought to myself, of course, if I fell onto the ground, I would expect, I wouldn't think of it as as a non-given. I would think of it as a given that someone would come up to me and say, are you all right? And then I looked around me and I saw that there were a bunch of people around me, who were sitting there, who were lazing about, or sitting there. Particularly, there were some yoga teachers and some healers. Now, I hate being so cruel and using the quotation mark in that regard, but literally, I was thinking to myself, none of those people around me who are deemed spiritual, who are, who think of themselves as like, oh, the full moon and all that crap that they talk about all the time, which is great to talk about that shit, but are you going to actually practice it? No, because all of them were just sitting there watching while the girl fell. They did not even bother getting up. They did not bother asking her if she was all right. Not that I'm saying I'm better in any way or anything because I asked her, but I'm just saying that why are you sitting there where some human being is in distress? And I think that's the reason why, one of the reasons that I think the universe is, or the world kind of going to shit, is because we look at something that's going on in the world and we're like, well, yeah, I mean, we can't really do anything about it. It's happening, I'm only one human being. What can I really do about it? I'm not going to do anything about it, right? And, or like you go to yoga class and you think to yourself, okay, cool, I'm so strong, I can do a headstand, or I can do a handstand, or I'm so amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then you go off into the real world and you start yelling at the barista because they didn't make your skinny latte skinny enough. Does that make sense? I don't know what a skinny latte is, but I'm just making up shit here. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we do all these random things, rare crystals, and we talk about, woo-woo stuff, and we're like, oh, I'm so spiritual, and I love people, and I love humanity, and I love animals, and everyone is, blah, blah, blah. But when it actually comes down to shit, it actually comes down to actual stuff, when we're actually living in the real world. Not that we're roaming around here and we're doing all this stuff, but we're actually living in the real world. When it comes down to that, we don't actually do anything real or useful, is what I'm saying. And that is where the disconnect is there. You can't just be doing all this stuff in the ether and talking about it in your head. You actually have to portray it into the world when you actually walk in the world. So when you're walking around and someone needs your help, it's not that you're doing it because you're a yogi or because you're spiritual, but because you're a human being. And that's where it comes down to. You can't be like, well, I'm not a nurse, so I can't really help her. No. All most people need, in my opinion, the more I see of the world, the more I realize this, is that all people really need is to be seen and to be heard. Really, that lady who I asked if she was all right, she was an adult. She can take care of herself, of course. She can take care of her scrapes and bruises herself. She doesn't need me around. But all she needed was someone to come up to her, and all anyone really needs is for someone to come up to them and say, I see you, I hear you, you're important, you're not just a waste of space, you're here and I see you and I hear you. And that's all people really want in any situation, because most people can't take care of themselves. We're all adults mostly, and even children are really good at taking care of themselves. But what we need as human beings is to be seen, to be heard, and to do this in the real world, to do it here, right now, as time passes by. So it's not about going to a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat, to be a better person, to be spiritual, or to do all that stuff. You can do all that stuff, of course, and a lot of spiritual people do that stuff, which is great. You have the time and the capacity to do it. Go ahead. But when you come out of that retreat and you're walking in the real world, and someone falls in front of you, or someone gets hurt, or someone's asking you for help, how do you react to that? That's the real question of it. And I'm not saying that you need to help every person that walks past you. Of course, we need to have our own boundaries, and we need to take care of ourselves as well, right? But if it's easy to do, and you just have to say a few words like, "Are you all right? Can I help you in any way?" If that's the minimum that you have to do, and that's possible for you, if you're walking through the world and you see someone in distress and they need your help, if you can be there for them for a few seconds, that is the reality of being a spiritual being, I think. It's not about just saying, "Oh, I meditate every morning." Great, you meditate every morning. What are you doing about that? How are you bringing it into the real world? It's easy to sit on a mat. It's easy to do all the poses. It's easy to talk about shit. It's easy to wear crystals. It's easy to talk about the full moon and the manifestation and all that stuff, right? It's easy to do all that stuff, but what is it translating into? And that's the real part of it. That's the thing that I really get annoyed by so much, is that when I see the world, when I walk through the world, and I see spiritual beings just being spiritual on their mat or on their cushion, but then when it actually comes to the real world, it's like they disappear. It's like they're not there anymore, right? They're not using the fact that they are spiritual, or they have the capacity to be there for this person, right? It's so easy to do a lot of times, and I'll just be walking past someone else, see them, and there'll be a look on their face. And because we are INFJs, and we are really good at reading micro expressions, even if they're not visually portraying to us that they need help. You can tell mostly when someone wants someone to come to them, wants someone to ask them if they're all right. It's very easy to tell, and it takes a few seconds, really. A lot of times it's just me stopping and saying, "Are you all right? Do you need any help?" And a lot of times the person's like, they look up and say, "Yeah, I'm totally fine. Thank you so much for asking." That's all it takes a lot of times. Sometimes they ask for help, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that'd be really great. I was kind of looking for something. Can you help me?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, sure." It's so easy to do. It's so important, especially nowadays, I think, in this world where it's so easy to put blinders on and not look at anyone and not talk to anyone. Now, as INFJs, I know that strangers will come up to us and ask us questions all the time, and sometimes we get exhausted by that. And I understand a lot of spiritual people are like, "Well, I'm just so tired. I've been giving so much." And I'm not saying this about every person out there, but if it's easy to do, and on that day, like it would have been easy for me to just be like, "Okay, I'm gonna ignore this person. She fell. She's an adult. She can take care of herself," and just walk away, walk past her, right? But it took me 2 seconds to say, "Hello, how are you? Are you all right? I just saw that you fell. Is your hand all right?" And that's it. It took me 2 seconds, not a lot of energy, not a lot of effort, and boom, I was out of there, right? But maybe the fact that I asked this person if she was all right, maybe I talked to her and she's like, "Yes, thank you, I'm fine, and thank you for asking," and then she'll walk past, and maybe the ripple effect will be felt throughout the world, where she might go ahead and say something to another person who needs help, rather than ignoring them and walking away. Because, of course, it's very easy to ignore people. It's easy to ignore distress. It's easy to ignore all the stuff that's going on around us. And I'm not saying that we need to be privy to all of it, or I'm not saying that we need to take care of everyone around us. I know that INFJs have a hard time with that, because we give too much of ourselves and then we burn out. And I'm not saying that you guys need to do that, but please stop the fake spirituality. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, just stop doing that shit, because it's nonsense. Like, it's stupid. And I'm thinking to myself, you are wasting my time, and you're wasting this universe's time by pretending like you're spiritual. Like, why are you doing that? That's not the point of this world. That's not the point of doing all that meditation. That's not the point of doing all that yoga. It's not so that you can be more bendy and you can do all these cool poses and post on Instagram. That's not the freaking point of it. I see so many people, and I talk to a lot of people here, because I'm working at a yoga resort, and there's a lot of spiritual people that come here, a lot of yoga teachers. And I'll notice this over and over again, that, this person will, show on Instagram all these amazing pictures of themselves doing yoga and saying all this bullshit about how the universe and the manifestation and taking care of the world and all this stuff that I look at, I'm like, what? And then I actually meet that person and I know that they're not like that because they're rude. They're rude and they yell at everyone and they put people down. And I think to myself, you're a freaking fake bullshitter spiritual person. And that I can't handle, right? I'm not saying that spiritual people have to be nice all the time, but a little bit more control and a little bit less anger, a little bit less putting other people down, a little bit treating like other people like you want to be treated, not treating people who are below you in the hierarchy like crap, like little basic things like that. Can you not just do that? And so that really irks me because I see them putting forth this image into the world, and maybe they believe it themselves as well that they are so spiritual and so great. And then they behave with people on the ground, the real people that are around them, like they don't mean anything and they treat them like shit. And I think to myself, okay, well, this is just nonsense. Then that makes me believe like, spiritual people are filled with bullshit. It's just like all nonsense and it's all stuff that I can't believe anymore. So whenever someone comes up to me and starts, hugging people and saying, oh, you're so beautiful and the full moon is here, and then they start talking nonsense, I think to myself, what are you really like? Like, is this really who you are all the time? Are you like this all the time? Or are you one of those fakers where you kind of roam around the world talking nonsense when it comes down to something real, when you're having a connection with a person, you're talking to a person face to face, then you're rude to them or mean to them or you're putting them down or you're treating them like shit. Is that what you really are like? And that's where I'm like, I'm really careful now. And I really stay away from spiritual people in general now because I'm like, well, I don't know. And I don't want to be disturbed by that. I don't want to deal with that because I know that I get really sad when I see that. And I look at the hypocrisy of it all and I think to myself, oh, you're just bullshitting all this then. Like, what's the point? Also, it really irks me. I want to add on that when I see these spiritual people walking through the world and being all, putting all themselves out there in social media and all that as being really spiritual, and then all these people come up to them and say, "Oh my God, you're amazing. You're so calm and you're so serene and you're so great and I really, really want to learn from you." And I think to myself, oh boy, oh God. And that really scares me, is that all these people who are obviously just faking it and just putting themselves out there as, spiritual people are being lauded by all these younger souls as, as gurus. And they're, going to go after these people. They're going to latch onto them and like leeches and they're going to suck them dry. The younger souls are going to be sucked dry by these spiritual people, and that really scares me because that's when I come to the fact that INFJs don't like experts. We don't like experts, and we especially don't like fake experts. And for me, I especially don't like fake spiritual experts because I'm surrounded by them. And that's the reason when when people come to me even and they say, "Oh, you're so amazing," all that, I always tell people, I am just one person who has no idea what she's doing really, and I'm just talking about my own experiences, my own opinions. I'm not an expert. I never portray myself as an expert because I really don't know what the hell I'm doing really. I'm just sharing my opinions and my thoughts, but I don't want you to come to me and say, oh, you know everything. I don't. Do not think of me as an expert. Do not think of anyone as an expert. Do not think of anyone as knowing more than you, because then you're giving your power away to them. And then what if they use that power against you? Like, we have to be really careful, especially in the world right now, because we live in a world where it's a little bit scary, where, a lot of these people, are in positions of power where they really should not have any power at all over any person, right? I hope this makes sense to you guys. I know I've kind of talked about a bunch of different things. I think it's because I feel so strongly about it. It makes me so angry to see this stuff that I really can talk about this stuff forever. As you can see, I've kind of changed my background as well. This is my bungalow, and I think I might do more videos here because it's so much fun, and I can't believe I actually live here. Again, I hope that you guys are doing well wherever you are in the world. I'm so grateful that you guys are here and watching my videos. If you guys have any questions at all, please message me anytime. You can comment below, or if you want more of a private message, then you can email me anytime. My email address is in the description below as well. Okay? Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now!